Alrighty. So we failed to start streaming a couple seconds ago, so I'm just gonna check that we're actually streaming before I actually make an attempt to make a video. So, give me a second. Alright, so I'm listening to the audio back on my phone, and the air conditioner just kicked back up again, so I'm going to shut the air conditioner off. See, I love you all so much that I'm willing to shut the air conditioner off, so just come with me on an adventure. We're gonna go shut the air conditioner off. See. That's how much I love you guys, cause I hate the heat and I'm going to swelter and die. So, for this great and mighty cause of the 5 people that are gonna watch this video. Regardless, I'm back. It's been a couple months. I have new stories. I'm going to actually do the show. I know, shocker. Actually, I'm actually going to prop this up on top of the laundry basket. That way, I can actually see you. And you can actually see me. Not that you'd want to see me. I don't know why you'd want to see me. That's quite irrational of you. But, thank you if that was a thing that mattered to you. I don't know what I'm doing. So, just bear with me. Okay. Hi everyone, so I'm restarting the stream. I just did a lot of screw ups, but I've fixed it all now. The air conditioner's off so you can actually hear me. And so just to commemorate the fact that this is the 9th number of thing in this series, I'm going to play the very outdated joke, but so yeah, I know that was completely off topic and unfunny, but I've got nothing better to do, so I hope that brought you some sense of enjoyment. I am going to actually start the show. Give me a second. And we are going to start with this. No, shut off. Okay, that's not gonna work. So we're just gonna do that, I guess. So this news story comes to us from Ars Technica. Verizon wants you to pay $650 upfront plus 85 months for 5G hotspot. So the big issue with this is that 5G is relatively new, and with any relatively new technology, you do have to pay premiums because that's just how the world works, sadly. But it becomes an issue when, first of all, that technology is not really well um, it's not really well tested, it's not really well proven, and it's we don't know. There's a lot of things we don't know, and to be charging 650s up front and charging that much a month just to have access to the service. Never mind, you're gonna have to pay probably whatever you would usually pay per month for each device, and then you have to pay for a data plan and whatever. Um, I just don't see it right now. When 5G becomes more widespread and available and it gets cheaper, which it eventually will, um, then I would totally see it as a good investment. But at the moment, I don't see anyone in their right mind paying that amount of money. So we are going to move on to the next story, which is um, Toshiba. Toshiba Memory is going to rebrand as Kioxia in October, and this is not really a big deal. I'd just like to know why, because Toshiba is well known for making memory modules and SSDs and um, M.2 drives, and I just want to know why they are risking changing their name when everyone knows them under the brand Toshiba. What benefit do they get from changing their name? I still don't see that. So it doesn't really matter. Next one is Samsung begins mass production of industry's first 12 gigabyte LPDDR5 mobile DRAM. And this is good because just like DDR3 did, DDR4 is coming to the limitations of what we can do with it for now. So moving on to DDR5 is a good thing, and the fact that DDR5, and that's was a couple years ago when when I first started this stream. Actually, DDR5 was like a completely new concept, and not many people were talking about it. The fact that there's like commercially available DDR5 in memory sizes as big as 12 gigabytes is kind of amazing to me. So yeah, I just thought that would be interesting to mention. Um, now I want to move on to the two biggest stories of today. So Intel CEO blames 10 nanometer delay on being too aggressive. So um, in this thing, there's a reference to Moore's law, which I don't know the exact thing. I roughly know it, but it's worth just looking up the exact um so double every 2 years. But as we've seen in recent years, that is becoming less and less true. And it's see, AMD has reached, if I as far as I know, their 10 nanometer goals, and Intel has been struggling for a while to achieve their 10 nanometer goals. I don't know why, but this is not a good thing for Intel because it's the more for reference, that number means the amount of transistors they can fit on a single um, like the spacing they can put between transistors, with the end product still being functionable. And 10 nanometer is a goal that Intel set for, I believe, 2016. They kept pushing it up. It's now 2019, and AMD, as far as I know, has met their goals, but Intel hasn't. I don't know whether that's because they've been held back by trying to squeeze out whatever life is left out of 14 nanometer, or pressure from investors to do other things. But this is not good for them because AMD, as we've seen in the last actually month or two, or maybe 3 months, but mainly last 2 months, AMD has made a big comeback, and AMD is a serious competitor to Intel. And if Intel is serious about staying on top of their game, they need to make sure that they're on top of their 10 nanometer process, and that is one of their major priorities at the moment. So, last thing I have is Netflix lost U.S. subscribers in in the second quarter over price hikes. How can it win them back? Now, now there's always with inflation there always comes an increase in prices, because that's just economics. But the issue I'm feeling with Netflix, and then I know a lot of other people are that are mad about Netflix, is and it's not even Netflix's fault, is that every company now wants their own streaming service. So we started with Netflix, then Amazon Prime Video, but now we have there's always HBO exclusives, but now certain companies like Disney want to pull their content off of these other streaming sites and make their own streaming site. And more what we're seeing less of like what Netflix had, which is where everything from everyone was consolidated, and we're going more towards where if you want a service that you are not looking in one place, you need to have multiple subscriptions. And I think people are angry because now they're paying more money, but they're getting less content than they were before. And I can understand that frustrations, and I feel frustrated in the way the online streaming industry is moving. I feel that at some point there has to be some sort of retaliation, because you cannot keep going along, because all of these streaming services are roughly priced around the same. So you're paying $10 a month for Netflix, 10 whatever it is for Prime, then 10 for Disney for your children or whatever, and then 10 for Home Garden Network. It just it all adds up. And the more and more you section this, and the more and more you add these extra costs, the less and less people are going to be willing to explore these other shows. And I hate to say it, but at this point, it's pirating sites are actually seeming like a better like paid premium pirating sites are seeming like a better option than Netflix or Prime. And I've noticed this for a while, that Netflix takes content off. After a while, Netflix does take content off their off their servers, and whether that's because they need the servers for the major demand that they now have, and they've had for a couple of years, to conserve space that could be used for more prominent titles. I'm sure that plays some role into it. I'm just, at the same time, I feel like if Netflix wants to stay competitive with all of the headbutts it's been receiving recently from other players in the more traditional media space who have immigrated now over to the internet, I feel like if they really want to stay who Netflix has been for all these years, that they have to fight back. And I feel like people are annoyed, but I feel like people aren't annoyed enough. And I feel like unless we say something, this is just going to continue, and it'll continue until a point where we have an unmanageable amount of subscription services. Like, say, take for example The Office. I am not aware of who owns The Office, but they are now going off and splitting and creating their own streaming service. And if you want to watch The Office, you have to go over to that streaming service. And I feel like there is a large amount of people who love The Office and want to watch The Office, and I feel like that's it's sort of like what Nickelodeon is trying to do with SpongeBob with the spin-offs. It's an easy way, fast way to make money, but in the long term, you're going to lose viewers. And the reason you're going to lose viewers is because you have current fans of The Office, but then new fans who want to join will see that there is this premium price tag to get into it, and they'll do one of two things. They'll do three things. One, if they're dedicated enough and they really want to watch it, they will buy a subscription, but I feel like that'll be a minority people, and that leaves the other two groups. One who will just won't even bother and say, well, I heard the show is good, but it's behind a paywall, and I'm not willing to take that out of my paycheck every month for this extra subscription service. Or third option is they will end up going on and pirating the movie anyway. So you're basically losing money either way, I feel. And I'm sure there's some inverse economic rule that overrules everything I'm saying right now, but from a consumer standpoint, that's what it feels like. So it's been nice talking to you guys, and I really hope to do this more often because it really doesn't take that much time for me to do, and I feel like I've just made a lot of excuses for not continuing the stream. So I will try to do the stream as much as possible, and I will see you all later. Bye.